A very good evening to you. I'm Joel Chua in for Eugene Lowe this evening. How many face masks do you own? Well, many of us already have at least a handful, at least, on standby, and we'll be getting another pair of reusable masks from a fourth nationwide exercise distributing masks to Singapore residents, and that's currently underway. Well, not everyone is as privileged as us. Over in Cox's Bazar in Bangladesh, hundreds of thousands of Rohingya refugees are going without masks amid this pandemic. And one Singaporean is hoping to change this. I'm joined by Jonathan Howe, the founder and director of Relief Singapore. Jonathan, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us amid the very important humanitarian work that you and your team are doing. You are the founder of Relief Singapore. I want to get a sense of what exactly the scope of Relief Singapore is in just a little bit. But first, please describe for us what the situation is like, the COVID-19 situation is like for the Rohingyas in Cox's Bazar, which I think many of us have come to understand is the world's largest refugee camps.
Hi, Joel. It's although the numbers are small, the mortality rate and cases of infection is rather low, but a lot of people, and including the international community, are worried that the numbers are not right, and there's underreporting, and also testing levels are not as high as they would like to. In fact, as of 13 September, there are 7 deaths and 66 cases among the Rohingya refugees in the 34 camps. But there is fear. A lot of people don't understand the risks of COVID. In fact, I'm in constant communication with a couple of Rohingya refugees in the camps. One of them is a community leader. They call them Maji. And he told me that a lot of people do not understand, and it's very difficult for them to implement infection control in the camps.
Right. Jonathan, are you currently in Singapore or are you in Bangladesh?
I'm in Singapore. I would love to be there to do more things on the ground, but unfortunately we can't travel.
Right. When was the last time you were in Cox's Bazar to get a first-hand account of the situation?
Since COVID has started, I'm not able to be there, and it's only through we have a local staff, Bangladeshi worker who is based in Dhaka, and he's now in Cox's Bazar. We just delivered a number of masks to IOM for the camps, and so through him, I get feedback on what's going on the ground. I will Zoom with him every so often to find out the details and get updated.
Right. Specifically, you're working to get face masks to the Rohingya refugees. We've come to know that face masks are now instrumental. It's deemed as instrumental in the fight against COVID-19, but they don't have them. A large proportion of the Rohingya refugees in Cox's Bazar don't have access to face masks. Why do they not have access to face masks?
When we contacted the UN agencies in early May this year, we wanted to help them with masks, and so we wanted to find out what are the gaps. And they were starting with making masks for the refugees, but it was a little slow because they were getting the Rohingya women to make the masks themselves, and also make it a source of income for them. So and there are almost 1 million of them, and it's not easy to produce and distribute them. So NGOs like us coming in with offers to procure and donate masks to them, these offers are welcome. So we decided to provide 710,000 masks because we found out from them that there was an actual gap, which is children, youths, and elderly. They did not have the masks. They were making only adult-size masks for the Rohingya. So when we told them we have different sizes for young kids and children, they were happy.
Right. So the 710,000 masks by itself, I mean, if you were just going to be making one size, 710,000, that itself is a monumental number. But you're also having to make child-size masks.
Size. Yes, that's right. 3 sizes in total: small, kids, small, and large.
Where are these masks being produced?
In Bangladesh itself.
In Bangladesh
we found
itself.
a supplier. Yes.
So
that's easier for the logistics, and it's reasonable priced, and it's easier to transport from Dhaka, truck it over to Cox's Bazar. Long journey, but that's okay.
Right. Take us through some of the challenges. You talked about the logistical considerations involved. How challenging is it to get the masks, even though they are being produced in Bangladesh itself, but into what is perhaps the world's biggest refugee camp, and then distributing them?
Just for perspective, the trip from Cox's Bazar town to the camps is not a very long distance. But because the roads are narrow and there's so much traffic on the roads and so many trucks going in and out, humanitarian convoys, Bangladeshi government officials, UN officials, aid workers, so it's a long journey. It becomes 2.5, and it gets worse when it rains, monsoon season, trucks can get overturned, and it's not a very safe journey.
Yeah, we can only imagine. Getting it to the camp is one thing, and then once the stocks have arrived in the camp, I mean, this is a population of close to 1 million, or is it slightly over 1 million people?
It's about there.
It's about
so depending on which reports that you look at, but it's about there.
Right. It's. I mean, the mind boggles at the logistical challenges involved. Not just getting the masks to the camp, but then distributing the masks to 1 million people confined in the world's largest refugee camp. How does that take place?
It's a good thing that through the UN agencies we are partnering with, namely UNHCR and IOM, the International Organization for Migration. They also have their distribution partners. UNHCR, for example, works with the Bangladesh Red Crescent Society, and so they are actually on the ground distributing the masks. In fact, some of the photos you see, if people do take a look at the Give.Asia campaign we have, the photos there will show the distribution and even the children wearing the red and white masks.
I understand that you've already managed to meet 50%, about 50% of your target. You've managed to get donations of close to 340,000 masks, or you've managed to already donate 340,000 masks to the UN High Commission for Refugees, which manages about, I think, 16 out of the 34 camps. What sort of impact has this achievement had so far on the refugees?
Even as you speak, I think the BDRCS, which is the Bangladesh Red Crescent Society, they are still distributing the masks to the 16 camps managed by UNHCR. It will take some time, and the other 18 camps, we're still getting the masks to them. We had set a target of 200,000 to purchase all these masks. Yes, you're right, we did reach 50%, so that's why we were able to kick off the production of the first batch of masks. And right now, we are working on the second batch of masks.
Right. Let's talk about the monetary aspect of this. Even though it's cheaper to produce these masks in Bangladesh, it's not a small sum of money. How much do you need to raise to meet your target of sending 710,000 masks to the Rohingyas in Cox's Bazar?
Well, the masks, they cost about 30 cents each, Singapore cents. So we need to raise about close to 200,000,
right?
And that will help us to finish paying the suppliers to send the masks to the camps, to cover all 34 camps, all the children, youths, and elderly.
Right. Why did you choose this particular humanitarian cause to focus your attention and energies on at this time?
Well, for the past 2 years, since May 2018, we have been going to the camps. In fact, I've gone to Cox's Bazar to the camps at least 12 times already since May 2018. Well, actually March, that was our first recce. And we have been working with them, doing healthcare. We deployed doctors and nurses, specialists. We first started with a water filtration project, and later on psychosocial support. We did sports missions for adolescent female Rohingya refugees. And so when COVID started, we couldn't do all those, and we decided to keep our eyes on the situation and help if we can.
Right. And of course, you're doing this through your NGO. It's called Relief Singapore.
That's right.
And you founded it. Tell us a little bit about Relief Singapore. What inspired you to found it, and what is its current scope of work?
It's still Small setup. Relief Singapore is mainly run by, I mean, we are supported by volunteers. In fact, I have 4 people in the core team, and everybody else have their full-time jobs. And all the volunteers, we have an alumni group on a WhatsApp alumni group, about 80 of us, all who have gone on missions with me before. And yeah, and we still keep in touch, and they are aware of all the Rohingya projects they were doing.
Right. I mean, this is a massive operation that you guys have undertaken, and you're saying that the core team, your core team, most of them, other than yourself, in fact, all of them other than yourself, it sounds like, are volunteers with their own full-time jobs. Is that right?
That's right.
Right. What inspires you? I mean, there must have been something that that really moved you at the beginning to say, I want to be involved in this work as you know, as demanding as it is, as monumental as it is. I want to give so much of my life to this important humanitarian work. How did it begin?
Well, that's actually a long story, and it'll take us probably another radio session.
We've got 1.5 minutes. Let's test your summary skills.
I began, I first started getting interested in global affairs a long time ago, you know, university time, and later on I went into the humanitarian space and decided to focus on refugees. I think it's something that pulls at my heart, you know, being a Singaporean, and I'm very comfortable. All of us we have our own homes, roof over our heads. So when I see people without homes, living in under toppling shelters, in very miserable conditions, that pulls at my heart, and and compels me to want to do something about refugees and possibly displaced persons.
Right. Are you running the organization yourself full time, or are you a volunteer as well?
Actually, I already have a full-time job, so this one is I'm doing whenever I can, as at my best capacity.
Right.
And even all the rest who are helping out in the projects, various projects, we have a few campaigns going on, and even planning for future ones. But it's all within our means and our capacity.
Right. We've spoken at length so far about the tremendous work that you guys are doing with Cox's Bazar in Bangladesh. Tell us about some of the other projects that you're doing in the region.
We've just recently concluded a project to help the urban refugees and asylum seekers in Thailand. So these are not those Burmese refugees who are living along the border, but are actually living within Bangkok, around Bangkok. There are about 5,000 of them. And we started a project to raise, we reached 20,000 to give financial subsidies to 50 families who are very vulnerable. Right. And we work with others. It's not just RSG. In fact, I've been Zooming with my Thai ground partners, Host International, Aprin, a lot to do this. And we also have, it's still ongoing actually, to raise money to send PPEs to Indonesian frontliners in rural health facilities.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Jonathan, thank you so much for sharing with us the amazing work that you're doing, specifically with regards to what you're doing for the refugees in Cox's Bazar in Bangladesh. You're helping to raise enough money to donate 710,000 face masks to them. People who want to be part of this effort, where can they go to help? Okay.
There are few avenues. They could go to our Facebook page, Instagram, or website. They can enter the emails to keep updated. Social media will be a good way for them to keep abreast of developments and what we are doing, and to support. The links are out there. Give.Asia on our website, relief.sg.
Right.
It's
so that's the easy to remember address. Yes. Relief.sg. Go there and find out the amazing work that Jonathan Howe and his fellow volunteers are doing through this organization, Relief Singapore, specifically for the vulnerable, the disenfranchised and marginalized individuals in Cox's Bazar in Bangladesh, and also throughout this region also. Jonathan Howe, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us. Really an honor to speak with you, and continue doing the amazing work that you're doing. Good job. This has been CNA's Day. You're listening to CNA 938. It's 8:28. The news coming up in just about 2 minutes from now. Stay with us.